when you visualize something, you've got to, like, let's just say an easy one. I'm driving the Ferrari that I've always wanted. Okay, I'm visualizing driving the Ferrari. If you can't feel the feeling of what that's like, it's not going to work. If you understand the way the law of attraction works, like this isn't woo-woo stuff. This is science, right? It's quantum physics. Like this is actual science. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and a visualization if you've got the emotion. So, of course, moving to mind movies, why I was so excited about mind movies when we started it, it does that. It immediately, we watch a mind movie of your perfect life with music. Try and listen to your favorite song and not smile. It's nearly impossible, right?
Yeah.
So it immediately puts you in this vibration, which taps into that emotion. And of course, we didn't know this in the beginning. We just thought it was a fun thing, and we realized it worked very quickly. We didn't know why it worked, but it works, you know. So really from right back then, and I'm still blown away.
Welcome to Harry Handles It, a podcast where we dive into the world of personal growth, success strategies, and everything in between. I'm your host, Harry Nalbandyan, and today we're going to chat with an incredible guest who has some amazing insights to share. Remember, no matter what life throws your way, I'm here to help you handle it. So let's get started. Good morning. We've got Glen Ledwell here on the Harry Handles It podcast today. Glen is an entrepreneur, he's a speaker, and he's a mastermind leader, best known as the co-founder of Mind Movies, a visualization platform that has empowered millions of people worldwide to manifest their goals. Glen, welcome.
Thanks, Harry. Good to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what was the journey that led to Mind Movies?
Geez, so back in, this really shows that my dinosaur age and 18 years in the online world, which, you know, it's like a million years in the real world, right? But back in 2007, or 2006, actually, a lot of you, if you're into personal development, you remember the movie, or you're old enough, you remember the movie The Secret. And what happened was I was a student of personal development, was always into that kind of thing. And what that movie did, it showed like literally 100 million people that you needed to tie emotion to your goal when you're visualizing that. I mean, that's what it did for me. So anyway, I was obsessed with that. Anyway, fast forward, I saw an opportunity there. Imagine if you could leverage off this wave. The first time when the people from The Secret were on Oprah, I'm like, geez, imagine if you could leverage this somehow. Anyway, I am a law of attraction story. So my old business partner at the time, literally a day after I said that, the next morning, said, hey, I got this idea. You know that little visualization thing that I showed you that I made up? I want to teach people how to do that. I'm like, what? Like I knew nothing about the internet, couldn't type, nothing about technology. There was no social media. You know, MySpace, don't even know what that was. What's a YouTube? Like I knew nothing. Anyway, so, create some videos. But anyway, the long story short, we had to go, I scripted some videos that went viral on YouTube. We sold this little course we hadn't even created yet for $20. But the big thing was, if you've been in the online world for a while and you can remember, I was like, and on the third day, I think we made 3 sales or something. And I was like, we've sold air. Like I don't even have I couldn't get my head around that you could make money.
And you sold something that was, in the baby phase.
Not only it didn't exist, we didn't even know how to do it, right? But of course, years later, I'm like, that was a smart way to do it. That's what you do, right? But I didn't know, we didn't want to risk too much money. But geez, for Mind Movies, I think my total exposure was about $2,300, to start the company. And that was before we bought the URL, but, a video camera and a bit of software and put a website. It's just mind blowing, right? It's the thing that I love about the online world so much, But anyway, so that's what the long story short to that is that's what got me into the online world. And this was happening, there was a couple of really defining moments. I remember I didn't even know what banners were, the ads. I didn't know what banners were. What's that? Clicked on, and I see all these testimonials of all these people. I don't even remember what the thing was, but all these people making money. And I'm like, what? And I remember my wife at the time, who's still my business partner, and we built the company together. She came home and I said, I don't know about this mind movies thing, if it's going to work, but I tell you, our life is never going to be the same. You can learn this stuff. I didn't know you could learn it. I was winging it. Created a website, created scripted. I'd obviously had a bit of sales marketing background from all the other, dozens of businesses I had, but I could, oh my God, you can learn how to do this. So of course I just delved in. And the other thing that the big aha was, I thought you had to be a technical genius to be online. And I realized through these testimonials and different case studies, it was the marketers making money. And I'm like, oh, I think I can be good at that, And honestly, from then it was just, I just delved into the product launch formula, Jeff Walker's program. I built my whole business based on that. I joined Frank Kern's very first mastermind, moved to San Diego from Sydney, and, started to build the business. But we just exploded. I did the very first ever big product launch in personal development in September of 2008. And it just absolutely went through the roof. And really, there's a million stories just around that. Should have quit. This should have. That's an episode on its own. But basically, through all that. But that's what really started me. I was, within a year, a year and a half, really. We went from newbies knowing nothing to kind of being leaders in personal development, which there's a lot of lessons in that might be relevant, which led me into the mastermind world and positioning yourself as a leader, things like that. I kind of got very early on,
Let's talk about that since this is kind of relevant.
Yeah.
How do you go from your personal story, from somebody who, from it seems like your own account, they didn't really know what they were doing in terms of getting into the online space, and then blowing that up into becoming a thought leader in that space within a very short amount of time? What lessons did you take from that?
Yeah, so basically the how was, it's I guess I realized very early on, we got into this world of personal development and, started to, people were reaching out, and I formed a few relationships over the first before we moved to the US, say 6 months or so. And I really started to realize that no one, particularly in my world, the personal development world, you're talking 18 years ago, right? No one knew what they were doing. Like no one knew what they were doing. It was the big transition from everyone was all the gurus, and even all the gurus were in the secret. Not all, but most. They were they're platform speakers. Now this internet thing. So they were kind of working it out. And even all the gurus from the secret, they built these monster lists. Only the really savvy ones, like the Joe Vitale and the really, really savvy ones, were the ones that leveraged it. Right? Of course, a handful of them did. But I started to realize over that first year or so, geez, these guys don't know much about marketing at all. They certainly don't know about online marketing. All I've done is done a couple of courses, but I got it. And I got that I got it, and everyone didn't get it. I couldn't kind of understand why, but I'm smarter than everybody else? No, not at all. I didn't know anything, right? But I realized, looking back a year later, I did know. I was experienced in business. I was 40 years old. I wasn't 20, or even 30 with no business experience, which, let's be honest, is 90% of people that started online. It's the best and worst thing about this industry. It's most people's first business. It's a fantastic thing. But the inexperienced in business and marketing and relationships, they don't generally understand that stuff, right? So I didn't know I had an advantage. I thought I was at a massive disadvantage. Couldn't type, got an Australian accent, didn't think that was probably good in America, didn't know that was considered cool and different and exotic. That still blows my exotic. Aussies, we're a lot of things. One thing we're not as exotic. But it's so
you might be selling yourself short.
Exotic. And I'm like, what? Anyway, but basically I realized very quickly, okay, so what did I do? What did I do then? We moved to the US, I think it was April of 08. and went to Frank Kern's very first event, actually, Mass Control, and he started a mastermind. We joined the mastermind, couldn't afford it again. That's a whole nother story. But it was okay, I'm around these awesome people. We really got to step up here. We can't afford this money that we're paying. I mean, it was $35,000 for the year or something. I forget what it was, $3,500 a month or something. Anyway, and we really have to leverage off this. So I really did. I leveraged off Frank's name big time. Like, I'm doing this launch, take a front seat. I'm being mentored by the guy, using his cred, really using his cred, right? And sure, he was helping me, but, between us, not really. But not to the degree that I positioned it at. He was, so I was being truthful. He was my mentor and he was helping me. But I was like, it was basically positioning it like he's running the launch. That's the perception of it. Like, I'm nobody. I know I'm nobody, but this is what I'm doing. And I knew if I could pull that off, I'd be positioned as a leader. So leading up to that time, obviously, I built a lot of relationships. We did do the launch. Like I said, there's a whole story in that. But we went from basically, like I said, from not really anyone to one of the biggest people, leverage, list size in the whole personal development arena. So in those first years or so, me reaching out to all these gurus and all these people I had no business doing. Who was I? I was nobody, right? Well, within 2 years, those people were reaching out to me. Because, I've got something they need. And I realize that. I really did realize that, I see these people up here, but with the marketing, this online thing I've just learned, I'm pretty good at it. I got pretty good at it pretty quickly, or better than all of them at it. Let's put it that way, much better. So I had early success. So from then I was pretty much very easily be able to position myself as the leader. So I was known as the joint venture launch guy in personal development. I wasn't the face of it, obviously. My business partner, who still is the face of it, Natalie. But so I got a reputation for understanding launches and marketing and joint venture stuff. And I've been teaching that all these years. So what I do from then, I started doing parties. I started throwing these one-off masterminds. Again, I realized, get peers together. I'm positioning myself as a leader. In my mind, all these people are smarter than me, right? But I'll bring them together to build my own credibility up. So that's really what led me into, for years, starting to do masterminds and becoming a mastermind junkie. And of course, 11 years ago led me to starting Flight Club, which is, the main mastermind I've had.
So it's a Flight Club. What are some of the benefits of Flight Club? What is a mastermind, and what does somebody who hasn't been involved in one have to benefit from it?
Okay, so mastermind, and kind of my story there. Like I'm living proof of masterminds. Like I said, I got in a mastermind that Frank had, a position, put myself around like-minded people. I mean, we hear it all the time. Surround yourself with the right people. It's cliche. It's a cliche because it's true, right? And I saw what that did for me. So I was sold on this mastermind idea. So what is a mastermind if you don't know? Well, it's a meeting of the minds, right, is the definition of it. But it's getting together with peers. And look, there's all kinds of masterminds. I'm going to define what I believe is a true mastermind. It's people around similar levels, not a bunch of beginners learning from a guru, right? And no judgment with that. But to me, that's not a mastermind, right? All different industries all over the place just getting together. Yeah, it couldn't be a mastermind. But so what I believe, and of course I'm a little bit biased, what I created, it's, you put the right number, the right kind of people in a room. What does that mean? Not douchey people, not takers, not show-offs, people that are giving, open, abundant. That's and smart and successful. Those two things need to come together to be, in my opinion, a good, true mastermind. Why is that? Because then you're not just learning from people from stage. Again, like these masterminds that you sit in a chair watching 6 or 8 hours of presentations, that to me is not a mastermind. That's a little seminar, A mastermind is when you are leveraging relationships, meeting each other, collaborating in breakout groups and social events and getting value from each other is what I believe is the real value. And a mastermind, apart from the difference from a little seminar or another really, really good, bigger one, right? It's so being around the right people, having permission to talk business. I'm sure we can all relate to that. If you've got friends that are peers that are amazing and you go out for dinner and maybe your significant others or theirs or other friends aren't involved in the business, so you don't talk business. And I realized this over the years. The more I was together with peers, the more money I made. So I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't particularly want to start a mastermind, to be honest. I used to do one a year, but I didn't want to start a full paid thing and whatnot. But I did, because the main thing I realized, the more I'm around peers, the more money I make, the better, the more I learn. So literally when I started Flight Club, 60% of the members were all my highest affiliates. So, I mean, they were paying me to be in my presence a few times a year and obviously connected. So that was the main agenda, not to make money. To make money in another way, I guess you'd say, but it was about the relationships. I mean, there's all different kinds, but does that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to a few of these myself, and I find the best benefit is like what you just said, is having the permission to do these breakouts, talk to one another, maybe different people involved in different locations, different industries, little nuggets you pick up. I mean, one or two things that somebody might say may change the course of trajectory for a decision you have to make, or it may give you some more leverage for a deal you're working on. So there's big value there.
Yeah. I mean, the things we do, lots of breakouts at Flight Club, and it's like, we'll break into tables of 6 and, come up with your biggest challenge. And we have a full structured thing on how to do that. So you get the help, like you just said. You solve your biggest problem you have in your business. Well, that was worth a few days and to have some fun and meet some cool people, right? Just one thing. Then we do other breakouts where people share their best thing they've done in groups, and then we share them all as the group. We only have 60 people in group, which is very strategic and purposeful. But so I basically condense the best, say, 10 ideas or 12 ideas from a group of 60 and share them. So everyone gets, it's not just the breakouts. Does that make sense? So,
yeah, big time.
So it's like, sometimes, to your point, that's more valuable than anything. And again, to your point, or at lunch, you're just talking to someone. I'm doing this. Oh yeah, I'm doing this cool thing. That's where the value comes from those actual relationships.
Yeah. And along those same lines, there's been a lot of, at least in the social media culture, some talks about morning routines and, people putting up their morning routines. Was there a moment where you realized that the idea of visualizing an outcome could be more than a morning routine?
Oh, absolutely. I've never thought of it as a morning routine. I mean, I have a morning routine, but I don't even kind of put those things together. Like, visualization is, I mean, I got visualization 25 years, probably from when I went to my first Tony Robbins event, which is probably longer than that ago, 25, 30 years ago. But I started to understand about this setting goals thing, and really thinking about what you want, and thinking positively, not thinking negatively all the time. But then, of course, like I said, the secret changed it all when I realized about tying emotion. So I'm like, oh, okay. When you visualize something, you've got to, like, let's just say an easy one. I'm driving the Ferrari that I've always wanted. Okay, I'm visualizing driving the Ferrari. If you can't feel the feeling of what that's like, it's not going to work. If you understand the way the law of attraction works, like, this isn't woo-woo stuff. This isn't science, right? It's quantum physics. Like, this is actual science. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and a visualization if you've got the emotion. So, of course, moving to mind movies, why I was so excited about mind movies when we started it, it does that. It immediately, we watch a mind movie of your perfect life with music. Try and listen to your favorite song and not smile. It's nearly impossible, right?
Yeah.
So it immediately puts you in this vibration, which taps into that emotion. And of course, we didn't know this in the beginning. We just thought it was a fun thing, and we realized it worked very quickly. We didn't know why it worked, but it works, So really, from right back then, and I'm still blown away, with success stories of people, watching the mind movie or doing their visualizations or whatever, just being positive, being grateful, all these basic, I call it personal development techniques. They all work. you know?
It's wild what a little bit of gratitude can do to shift the positive focus. So you start looking for example, in our business, one of our core values is to be a solution shark. And the reason why we decided to really emphasize that is because a lot of times, especially in the legal field, when when it's really a high level battle between two very qualified different firms trying to advance their own position, right? Kind of like a game of war. When you're presented with constant outcomes like that, and there's people constantly trying to undermine your position or not let you get an advance, it could be easy to get stuck in the, I'm getting attacked negative mode. But when you shift that to say, this is what we'd expect because this is what we do, how do we then, instead of focusing on what's going wrong, develop a plan to address what's happening? And at least from my experience with with our team and the culture, it's completely shifted their perspective from stress, anxiety about a given situation to excitement, to wanting to try different ideas to see how they can solution it. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's really cool. I mean, it's really cool.
Can you share how a powerful vision can make the difference between a company fast tracking to their success and a company fast tracking to their downfall?
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, I got so many of them, right? Like I said, back in '08, we're doing this launch. We didn't really know what we were doing. Like I said, I had a little bit of guidance from Frank, and I was just basically following Jeff Walker's product launch formula process, but kind of winging it, didn't understand that much. Well, I didn't think that much. So we created
You're also a little humble, seems like.
yeah, well, I really didn't think I knew anything.
Yeah.
I really, you really think, we always think we're faking it. And then you realize years later, oh, maybe I wasn't faking it.
Beginner's mind, yeah.
Right? What if everyone finds out I don't know what I'm doing? Like, everyone can relate to that, right? If we fail, geez, But the funny thing about this, talk about law of attraction. We brought a few people on to help us in the launch, all on a commission. And we created a mind movie for them that we were going to do this $1 million. Now, remember, we had $100 product with no upsells. $1 million? Well, all these gurus we saw, $1 million, $2 million, but they had $2,000 programs. This is where ignorance is bliss sometimes, right? We're going to do $1 million. Didn't even think, what conversion would you need for that? How much? We didn't know any of that. $1 million. So we had everyone watching this mind movie. We're going to do $1 million. And we came up, over a few weeks, we actually did $700,000, right? And get this, we were disappointed because we didn't hit the million. Like,
That's cool.
Are you kidding me? Like, we were getting 39% conversion on our VSL. Our emails were getting 105% open rate. That's right.
Wow.
People were opening them more than once. Like, these insane numbers, right? Anyway, and we were disappointed at the million. Like, I remember Frank at the time said, dude, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 7,000 units? Are you kidding me? Right? Anyway, I remember in the first day we did something like $340,000. It was just insane. Anyway, here's the kicker. Our launch was literally the week of the economic collapse, worldwide, in September of '08, right? The whole world was falling apart, particularly here in the US. But we didn't know. We didn't know any of that was going on. We were just, And I remember speaking to my father, and he said, mate, do you know what's going on? I said, oh, mate, all this money goes, yeah, well, the arse is really falling out of the dollar, here. And I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway, say at the time it was 90 cents, 92 cents, whatever, right? Because of that, it dropped to under 70 cents, the dollar. So what did that mean? When we transferred the money to Australian dollars, it was $1 million.
That's pretty cool. That's a great story. Yeah.
Right? I mean, they always go, don't think about the how, just the what. Like, And like I said, we in our mind, oh, me and me and me and me and me, and how could we have known any of that? We actually did $1 million in Australian dollars. So yeah, it's crazy.
That's
So
incredible.
yes, visualization works.
So talk to me a bit about how in the Flight Club group you vet some of the people who are in the masterminds who can present, or who are involved in it. How do you keep the community like the community you described?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very, we're all referral based. I'm really big, obviously, on having the right people. How do I do that? Well, I keep it at a manageable size, and then that's not more for that. That's just because I like that size for the way we do it, for connection and vibe and that kind of stuff. But it does enable me to be able to be a lot pickier than say groups that are 100, 200 people.
Yeah.
Because I created the group that I want. Not like I said, not, people say to me, why don't you make it bigger? You can make so much more money. I'm like, then I wouldn't love it, But to answer your question, all referral based, I do a video call like this with every single person before they even get to come as a guest, right? So that's not joining. That's just coming to the meeting. So that's how, and I mean, I don't think anyone else does that. I mean, I've never heard of it, right? People always say, oh my God, you do these calls? I'm like, absolutely I do. I want to make sure they're obviously a right fit in their business and their experience, but I want to make sure they're cool too. You know what I mean? Like, because it's true, like everyone can relate. If you've been to events, seminars, masterminds, there's always one or two of those kind of show-offy, douchey people, and they're allowed to be there because they're a big name or they're known or they're really successful. And it's like, to me, that ruins the group, It makes it a them show. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's just been really, really deliberate and diligent about who I actually let in the room. And every now and then I won't really get a vibe the right vibe. And at the meeting, I'll be like, I don't know about you, actually. In 3 days, you get to know. I ask other members, and sometimes I'll either, if they want to join, I'll just say no, or I just don't offer them to join, Yeah.
Awesome. And so what other specific benefits are there to being involved with Flight Club?
So, I mean, it's like, like we said earlier, being in Flight Club, like any other really good mastermind, and there are a lot of good ones out there, it's being around peers, being able to, so like we said earlier, permission to talk business. Everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone's there to meet each other, connect, and learn from each other. So everyone has the same agenda in a very cool way. Everyone's respectful. Everyone's nice. So I would say, what are the benefits to Flight Club? If you've got a decent business and you want to really go to the next level, you don't feel like you're around enough like-minded people, peers regularly, which very few of us ever are. Maybe we've even got big companies, but I mean, your staff are different. Even your high level management are different to peers. Maybe you're having problems with management. Who do you talk about that? Who do you talk to about that, right? And I've always, even with my own group, like when I've had challenges in my other business, I'm like, that's been my safe place. I know I can get answers, And I mean, I'm the leader of the group. Doesn't matter though. I'm not the magic. I'm the facilitator. People, tons and tons and tons and tons of people in the group have got bigger businesses than me. That, in my opinion, are a lot smarter than me. I'm the facilitator. So what do people get? Get your business to the next level. At least find out what you need to do to get your business to the next level. Maybe just continue. And of course, make incredible relationships, have an incredible time. And look, it's not all about having fun, right? But the thing is, the fun's deliberate fun. I put people in an environment, a lot of social fun stuff we do, very different to other groups, but it's deliberate fun. I put people in a really cool, like on a boat for the afternoon, out on Lake Mead, and can you not talk to anyone when you're with 50 people on a boat for 5 hours? I mean, it's pretty difficult to do. That's what I mean. Everything's deliberate.
I hear you.
The way that I do it, to put people on what I found very early on, you put the right people, what's the right people? Smart, cool people in the right environment. That's all I have to do. And they don't know the deliberateness of it. They just know at the end of the weekend, the end of 3 days, they've got 40 or 50 brand new friends, strategic business friends, which is even more, because remember, that's why we're there at the end of the day,
Yeah,
and I
that's big
think
leverage.
that bit is what most groups miss. They have great content, they have great people, but the curation isn't deliberate enough, in my opinion.
Awesome. Well, Glenn, how can our users find out more information about you, about your companies, about the Mastermind? Put in a plug here.
Anywhere. Flightclubmastermind.com. I have another really, really cool mastermind called speakeasymastermind.com. That's a local meetup. We're a global network, but we meet locally once a month. Very different to Flight Club, but we have 16 cities worldwide so far. So if you're interested, and that's much, much less expensive. But if you've got a family, or your business isn't doing millions of dollars yet, but you're a savvy business person, or any level actually for Speakeasy, maybe that's worth checking out. Speakeasymastermind.com. There could be one in your city, and if there's not, there's other ways to get involved. And other than that, you can find me anyway on social media. Everything's just my name. I don't have these tricky handles. Instagram, in LinkedIn, all of them. Facebook, just Glen Ledwell. Just reach out to me. I'm very, very accessible.
Awesome, Glenn. Well, this was a great podcast. I'd love to have you on as a guest again on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you in one of the masterminds.
Yeah, it'd be cool, man. Great. Thanks a lot, Harry.
Take care, Glenn. See ya.
Thanks for joining us today on Harry Handles It. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and found some valuable takeaways. If you're facing challenges in your own life or business, remember that you're not alone. Together, we can handle anything that comes our way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you liked what you heard. Until next time, keep pushing forward and handling life with confidence.